Have you ever had a family member or a coworker that you found out had a cancer diagnosis? It feels so overwhelming. You don't know what to do, but now we're going to find out exactly what to do. Hang on tight, guys. This is another episode of The Good, Bad, and Ugly of Business. I'm your host, Katrin Becker, and on this podcast, we talk to all sorts of different successful people because we want to learn what they have learned in their career. Because we can learn a lot from success, but we can learn way more from failure. And while a smart person can learn from their own mistakes, a genius can learn from the mistakes of others. So we talk to those people and figure out what are those golden nuggets that we can extract here from their story that we can apply to ourselves. Person today is incredibly interesting. We've had such a great pre-conversation. I'm glad to bring you all into the full conversation. So the founder of an incredible organization called BalmBox is here with us today. Liz Benditt, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It is wonderful to be here. I love the message and the story of what you do because, like I said in the beginning, we've all heard from someone who has cancer, and it's that immediate feeling of hopelessness and helplessness and the need to want to do something.
Yes,
absolutely. And you don't know what to do.
Yes. Yes.
So please tell us a little bit more about what led you into this.
Yeah, well, so my claim to fame, which is I would not recommend this path, is that the past 15 years, I've had 5 different cancers. The first one was when my children were 1 and 3, and the last one was about a year and a half ago. So I have had a lot of cancer, 2 different breast cancers. Each boob got to go at the knife.
Oh, gosh.
And all I can say is it's like, on the one hand, there are many kind of like hidden gifts that come with being a cancer patient. One is you learn who your friends are, right? Like you kind of find your tribe. The other, and I think that this one has been actually really underrated, but I think my kids have become and grown up with a mom that sometimes is sick and sometimes isn't. And my resilience, I think, has been a great lesson to them. But beyond that, I think they also are just, in general, more empathetic humans. And I think that that's kind of great. Like they understand that maybe if a friend or even a colleague or a teammate or, a classmate is having a bad day, they are the first ones that will say, maybe something's going on that we can't say, that we don't know, because they've had that going on in their lives.
Oh, wow.
So I really think that there's been, like, those are the positives. And I'm unbelievably lucky. I'm still standing here today. I feel good. I feel healthy. I have 1 real boob and 1 fake one. It's all good. So
I love your honesty.
Hey, and the fake one was made out of my stomach. It was awesome, out of my belly fat.
I didn't know that was a thing. Wow.
Yeah, it's a brutal surgery. I mean, people told me it was going to be brutal, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was a brutal surgery. But
well, I think any woman just hearing like there's a surgery to like take my belly fat away, like
everyone's like, and sign me up, right?
Yeah, like where do I sign?
Right? Yeah, but I will tell you, there's a fair amount of physical therapy after that surgery. But anyway, the long and short of it is, while the medical community continues to work for cancer cures, they've made a lot more headway on cancer treatment. And the treatments themselves have been amazing and extended the lives of patients like myself, but they are kind of miserable to go through. Like there's no getting around it. Surgery and radiation and chemotherapy suck. Like they're just very, very unpleasant to go through. And it's really, really hard on not just the patient, but then your friends and family who are all trying so hard. They want to be helpful. They want to do something, and they really don't know what to do. And especially friends and family that don't live nearby, really, really struggle. And so what a lot of people end up doing is they send flowers, they send food, and it's all very well-meaning, but in the moment, it's really not what you need, not what you want. And so
I think doesn't the treatment like make you not so hungry too, or nauseous? And
yeah, every human is different and every treatment is different. I think one of the things that you learn through this whole process is chemo is not a one and done process. There's lots of different types of chemo drugs, and depending on your particular tumor and diagnosis, it might the flighting of those drugs, and whether or not the drugs that make you more or less nauseous or lose your hair or not lose your hair are part of those different cocktails. And
Interesting. Okay.
typically most people can't do them all at once just because it would kill you. So you have to do them in flights and then recover and then flight and then recover. So it's just a drawn out couple months long process. Now, again, it's so unique. That's why, you have an oncologist that builds out your um, any individual patient's plan, because it's unique to that patient, if that makes sense. And the same thing is true
Yeah.
of radiation. Some people really don't have any side effects, and some people get really, really sick. You just never know
I
until
feel
you
like after 15 years and 5 cancers, you pretty much have like a minor in oncology.
I don't know that my oncologist would agree with you on that stuff all the time. But no, I certainly, and I think there's also different kinds of patients, right? One of the things that I've learned about myself is I'm a patient that like I like to know, I like to understand, I want to be part of my care team. I don't want like a medical dictator telling me what to do. I want to know what my options are. I want to know the cost benefit. And then make an educated decision. And I want doctors that want my input as a
Mm.
patient. And there are definitely some doctors out there that don't want patients like me. They don't have patience for patients like me. They don't really want to discuss it. They want to tell me what to do. And there are some patients that really find that comforting, right? They just want to be told what to do. They don't want to just tell me. I don't want to have to think about it. But
Yeah.
that's not who I am. So again, there's different kinds of doctors and different kinds of patients. And so the first, piece of advice that I always tell cancer patients is, find the medical care team that aligns with your patient type, right? Decide what kind of care team you want and pursue that care team. And so for me, that's been pursuing care teams that have been open to that dynamic and conversation. And I have mostly found that um, by working, like all of my doctors at this point are at the University of Kansas Medical Center, and that we're in the Kansas City metro area. And so I think working with a university hospital for me has worked really well, because you have doctors that are constantly learning and being part of research. And I think that just lends itself to more of this conversant doctor as opposed to the dictator doctor, if that
Mm.
makes sense. But by no means, again, you're going to find all types everywhere. So you just got to interview them. You got to take the time to figure that out. But yeah, I mean,
Which
as
you
an
have
individual,
done. You've
yes,
done so
yes.
much market research.
I have. I've done research as a patient and then also as a business owner. So yeah, after all of these cancers, I was the recipient of so many well-meaning, but kind of useless gifts. And so, and especially going through breast cancer, people give you a lot of pink stuff. And,
Mhm.
I'm just not the kind of person that wants to walk
Well,
around
for the
with my
audio
top
listeners,
tried to kill me t-shirt.
you're a redhead.
I
As a
am.
fellow redhead, pink is hard for us.
Yeah.
It
You
has to
know,
be the right shade of pink.
it's not even the t-shirts, well, yes, there's that. But then even beyond that, I just am not going to wear a shirt that says my tatas tried to kill me, or I don't know. I don't want to walk around advertising my patient status. That just feels uncomfortable to me. And so back in the stay-at-home orders during the pandemic, in the early stages of in the spring of 2020, everyone was at home, bored out of their skulls. And I had this idea for a gift box product that would be geared towards people going through cancer treatments. And actually, at the time, my original idea was that it would be a subscription box, so that you would have a subscription that you would go, order a subscription for when you go through radiation or go through chemo or different surgeries. And so I wrote this like incredibly long survey that went down two paths. And if you had previously had cancer, you answered the cancer patient questions. And if you hadn't, you answered a different set of questions. And because it was a stay-at-home order and everyone was at home and online and bored out of their minds, not only did everyone I know answer it, they forwarded it and shared it, and it went viral, and it collected 600 plus responses, which for us
Amazing.
data geeks is statistically valid. So that was great. And I learned a ton. And turns out it's not just me. I am not the only one that the wants functional items and not terribly interested in the t-shirts. And so when you ask cancer patients what are some things you want to need, and they rate them on a scale of 1 to 5, the most the highest performing items, those that got fives across the board, were all functional. Things like wedge pillows and blankets and lip balm and lotion, and things that got the lowest performing scores that nobody wants this stuff: kicking cancer tote bags, kicking cancer coffee mugs, worry stones, inspirational poetry. And then when you ask adults over 18, have you purchased a gift for a cancer patient in the past 18 months? Over 75% had, which is just an
Wow.
incredibly huge number. And when you ask them what did they buy, it's mostly flowers and food. And I thought, wow, there's this like real disconnect, right, between
Yeah.
what do people want and need and what are they getting? And that was really where I thought, okay, well, that's the the product opportunity. Now, how do I, develop that product? And so I launched in October of 2020, and I had curated all of these care packages, or all of these boxes. So the BalmBox, BALM, like so soothing, the BalmBox curated all of these packages to be kind of like your first, second, third, fourth, and so on box to receive as part of a subscription package. And then I thought at the last minute, I thought, you know what? Why don't we just also have a different area for gifts, and then basically repurpose these items as gift boxes, because we're already, pulling
Sure.
a couple of these items in stock. And after year one, 80% of our sales were gifts, 20% were subscriptions. And we thought, huh, okay, maybe, right? And so we switched gears to being a gift buying shop, and and switched from there. We did a ton of test and learning, which we can talk about. But yeah, that's kind of that's the background.
Well, that leads me into my next question, talking about data being statistically significant and
Yeah.
market research and putting together a questionnaire. Obviously, you have some experience in this area. So
Yeah.
what were you doing before this?
So I have had a really cool and interesting career. I've spent about 25 years as an executive in various, both B2B and B2C marketing departments. For the past, I guess, 10 or 15 years, I've been either, depending on the size of the organization, vice president of marketing or director of marketing for different companies. And so led marketing departments, both small and large. And so, yes, I have had lots and lots of experience managing marketing, either for really small, like I was the director of marketing for a nonprofit, really, really fun, interesting job. And then also VP marketing for a commercial transportation company, less interesting, more financially, maybe a little more than the nonprofit. But either way, you learn and pick up all sorts of things along the way. So I'm definitely an older entrepreneur. This is, the second part of my career, and loving it, obviously.
Well, I love that. And I think there's a piece, and I definitely want to talk about this, but like my experience was, it was almost like everything was laid out for me, right? Like I didn't have a choice in going to elementary school and junior high and high school. And so like going to college, I never even considered not going to college. The question
Right.
wasn't yes
Yeah.
or no, it was which college.
Yes. Yes. Same. Same.
And then you go
I
into
think,
work and you just do that. And then they get to this point where I'm like, I think I want to do something else.
well, I think that I've been incredibly lucky in my career. My undergraduate degree, I went to Boston University for my undergrad, and my undergrad degree I got in broadcast and film communications, thinking I was going to go be a creative person. My first job out of undergrad was working at Disney, and while I enjoyed it, there were the business side of what I was doing was much more interesting to me than the creative. And it was my dad that was like, "Are you sure you want to be a creative?" And so he was the one that was kind of pointing me towards getting a master's in business. And I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe I'll go back and revisit. And that also, luckily, you think about these things in retrospect. At the time, there was a job at Disney MGM Studios working for the Mulan marketing launch. And I
Oh,
was
wow.
really, really wanted that job. I was really excited about it. I loved the story and the
Yeah.
art was amazing, and really, really loved the people. And I was in like the final three that interview, and I didn't get it. And I was like devastated. But you know what happened instead? My dad was like, if you want to work on marketing, you really need an MBA. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. So I like listened to him and applied to grad school and went to USC to get my MBA in marketing. And that again, so that I had my first career pivot was what, 2, 3 years out of undergrad. So I already made that pivot. And I do think that like that pivot kept me open, right, to
Mm,
considering new things. And so when I went to grad school, I was thinking I was going to work in entertainment, given that that was my background. But at the end of the day, that was also at the same time as the dot-com boom. And I got much more interested in e-commerce and retail marketing. And so I kind of walked away from, not kind of, I walked away from that creative career altogether, and focused on the e-commerce side of the business and data-driven marketing. And having the specialty in data-driven marketing has really been the hallmark of my career, and the backbone, I think, of my success. So again, I think staying open has been good for me. I think that's been, and I've also been really lucky, unbelievably privileged that I've been able to do so. The fact that, like, I graduated undergrad with no debt, so that even though I had to take
huge.
on debt to go to grad school, it wasn't compounding, right, my undergraduate debt.
Yeah.
So I made a good choice. I went to a college where that gave me a scholarship, and you know what I mean? And my parents helped. And again, so being able to graduate from undergrad debt free, which is so different from kids these days, and the cost of college has just skyrocketed. So that was kind of decision number one. And then the other, is that I married my husband, who um, is awesome and amazing. And he's worked for, it was Sprint, now T-Mobile, for over 20 years. And so his stability and excellent health insurance has given me the flexibility to go and pick jobs that maybe don't have the same type of benefits, but it's okay because we get our benefits from him. And
Sure.
that also has made a huge difference. So again, those are things that have made me incredibly privileged, and I'm really lucky, and I'm aware of that, certainly.
I love your attitude just in since we've met, which I know hasn't been very long, but just the positivity that you exude is really, it's really great because things happen in life. You
Yes.
you have a choice in how you get to take it. You could be this awful, horrible thing that you let weigh you down, or be like, all right, this is what's happening. We're gonna deal with it. And guess what? I'm gonna make this awesome business out of it too.
And I had some really interesting role models growing up. My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. They met in
Oh,
hiding
wow.
in Poland during World War II. Their whole story is insane. And I won't get into it,
Oh,
but both of them lost their entire extended families, only had each other, immigrated to the United States when my mom was 7 or 8. Um, so I'm the firstborn American in our family,
wow.
which you would not even know. And what's amazing about my grandparents is they both are just so, they both ended up with just really unique and different perspectives. My grandfather was bitter.
Mm.
Anytime you talk to him about anything, oi, 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 how we suffered, oi, oi, everything is bad, you just react and, and my grandmother was gracious and grateful. She was happy to be alive. She considered it her second life, and she was so joyful over what she called her second life. Um, and I don't know, like, she wasn't it better to go through your life joyful than bitter? Like, I don't know. And it's understandable, right? He did suffer. It
Yeah.
was terrible. But we do have a choice, right? And I think choosing joy is always going to be better. It's not easy.
No. It's completely my ethos that we've all gone through hard things, but it's a
Sure.
choice every single day on how we
I mean, don't get me wrong. I
treat it.
have had plenty of pity parties. You're catching me, well past it. So I think, everyone's allowed their pity party, but beyond that, it's just finding a way to find the joy and kind of move on.
Yeah, and not getting stuck in the pity party.
So yeah.
Well, I'm really fascinated. I love like left brain, right brain, just how our conscious mind and subconscious mind works. Like I find that all incredibly fascinating. And I find it really fascinating that you were initially drawn to the creative piece, which lends itself to more right brain thinking of
Yeah.
creativity. But in the end, it was the data, which is more left brain thinking. So how do you kind of see yourself, and do you feel like you have kind of equal footing in both halves?
I think no. I think that I am better left brain than right brain. However, because I started off my career wanting to go into a creative career and acknowledging immediately that there were so many people that were better at it than me, that I needed
Mm.
to revisit what I wanted to do, I think was a really good call. I think I would have ended up as a very mediocre videographer or graphic designer. So I mean, I can kill it in Canva, but as long as I'm working with an existing template, right? Like it,
Right.
so and I think acknowledging that and leaning into I can enjoy creative things as a consumer and let that be my creative. Like I can have fun putting together interesting jewelry with my outfit and call that my creative outlet, or go to an art gallery and and enjoy other people's work. Um,
Mm.
that to me is, and certainly I think because I had um, a strong degree in communications, I'm an excellent writer, and I do think that that also helps enormously. So I can do long form writing, no problem. Cute, funny, pithy headlines, I need a copywriter for that. So understanding where my skills are and then knowing where to pull for help, I think has also been one of the keys to my success is like acknowledging, right, my deficits
Mm.
has been good. But you're right. I mean, because I had, a foundation in creative writing and looking at all sorts of things that were more broadcast filmy, creative-y, has certainly given me a great foundation to A, appreciate them, and B, select vendors that I think have skill, right? So, and I feel like I'm probably a little bit better at adjudicating those things.
Well, and I think that's such an important piece of it is being able to put the mirror up to ourselves and
Yeah,
give ourselves that hard look and just acknowledge, like, yeah, I thought this was it. It's okay that it's not.
right. Yeah. And I think that I'm really, really glad that I didn't spend the past 25 years trying to pursue a career in the creative arts. I think that I would have really struggled
Yeah.
more than, but making that switch and then getting to work with, I've had so much fun working with really phenomenal graphic designers, whether they're designing packaging for BalmBox products or, you know, ad campaigns. I do like being part of that creative process, but I'm not the one doing the actual work. I don't have that skill.
But you can appreciate when it's there and know, like, yes, this is good.
Yes, I think that yes, that's exactly right. I'm really good at adjudicating it, but I don't need to necessarily be the one doing the actual work, which is a good balance.
Yeah, absolutely. So this has just been a phenomenal conversation. You are such an interesting, amazing, open person. I really enjoyed getting to meet you. As we're wrapping up, the final question I have for you is around the products itself and
Yeah.
curating the box. And, how does that process kind of work? And do you get feedback from people and, make edits as you go?
All the time. All the time. So, like I said, when we first started the business, I had this vision that it was going to be a subscription box business. And then after the first year, we thought, oh, okay, this is a gift business. And so then I kind of took the existing individual components, right, of these individual gift boxes, and we rearranged them in a lot of different combinations and different prices. And we ran tests. And each test ran for about 3 or 4 months. And so that we could collect enough data on both page conversion rates and product conversion rates and price conversion rates to get to what we think was the right combination of product market fit. And one of the big learnings I had, you have to look at that both in terms of just the data, but then the bigger picture. And so the data tells you one story, but the bigger picture that I saw was that when we had a product that was too personal or too
Mm.
specific, gift buyers were just not comfortable buying it, right? So they didn't want to buy the hair loss box or the neuropathy box. They just wanted a generic chemo box, right? Because they don't really
Mm.
know what particular side effects somebody is going through. So better to just get them something that's got a little bit of everything in it, as opposed to these like really specific side effect boxes. So we got rid of those side effect boxes about a year and a half ago. And then within that, we also found that our page conversion rates were higher when we had fewer choices on the page, that we were kind of over, there was too much decision fatigue, and that we needed to like kill the babies, right? There are a lot of products that I really, I'm sorry, we'll pause for a minute. The dog barks at the UPS truck. Okay, she's done. So there were a lot of I had to kill products that were just lower performing in order to reduce the volume of choices on the page. And when we did that, we also saw higher conversion rates. So as a result of going through all of that, and that process took about 2 years. I mean, it's not like that was immediate. Once we did that, it was immediate. Like we doubled our conversion rates. Our average order went up about 20%, and now we're off to the races. And now the focus is much more on the ad side, like how much more money can we spend and where should we put it, and all of these things that are helping us build the business. But yeah, so it's been this very iterative process to get to that point of what combinations of items go in a box, how personal can they, they have to be helpful, right? So that's the litmus. Like, we're not putting in inspirational poetry. So there has to be like thought behind the item. Like, that really is the hurdle. And then it's got to be quality. And so we definitely also have gotten smart about making sure that if we're looking at new vendors, that we get samples, and you know what I mean, that we do big evaluations. And then as we've grown, we have been able to start buying directly from manufacturers as opposed to through distributors. So our unit prices are, for our costs are going down while our sales are going up, which is a lovely,
Lovely place.
It's helping us a lot. So like all of those things, like I said, having this math mind is, I would say 80% of it, but then the other 20% is like having that bigger picture view and understanding the why, right? So understanding, I can say that, products 1 through 7 aren't doing as well as products, 8 through 12, but then you look at it at a higher picture. Well, why is that? Aha, I think it's these things that are too personal. So therefore, when somebody comes to me and says, I've got this amazing underpant product for whatever, and I'm going to be like, you know what? People are going to buy that as a gift. I'm sure it is a great product, but I'm just, I can't sell that. Like, that's not going to sell well in our store.
You're not the right fit.
Yeah. So
What's your favorite piece of all the different things that you do?
Well, I'm really proud of our pillow products. Our pillow products are actually those that we, have always manufactured ourselves. When we started off the business, I literally was working with like a seamstress who was around the corner, and she would make
Wow.
20 pillows at a time for the business, until we got to the point where like our volumes were so big she couldn't keep up, and we actually had to switch to a contract manufacturing company to actually produce things at scale. So I'm really proud of our pillow products. They're really cool. We've got a seatbelt pillow that has these kind of specialty little curves in it so that it stays in place with the tension of the seatbelt, and it doesn't require any snaps or Velcro. And it's just one of those things you would never think of as a gift buyer, but it's amazing as a patient, because anyone that has any kind of upper body surgery or radiation, or even has a chemo port, your upper torso is sore. And so the pressure of the seatbelt can be really painful. And so just having this little pillow that you can smoosh between pulls the pressure of the seatbelt off your body. It's so elegant. It's just this really smart, elegant solution. And we actually have now switched. We're working with a manufacturer that uses the same stuffing in our pillows that they use in Build Bear Workshop. So they're really smooshy, like they're really comfortable. And then there's a similar pillow that fits under your arm. So whether you have had like a mastectomy, or you're going through upper body radiation, or even have had shoulder issues, this is like a C-shaped pillow that fits snugly under the armpit. And it's really fantastic, and we get really good reviews on that as well. So same idea that, yeah, we manufacture that ourselves. So I'm really proud of those.
I love that so much. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your story and your knowledge. It's quite inspirational. Please let people know how they can purchase this gifts for their friends and loved ones.
Yes, you can buy all the BalmBox. It's TheBalmBox.com. TheBalmBox.com is our website. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. And a couple of our pillow products are also available for sale on CVS.com. So
amazing, amazing. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, is there a way to do that?
we can reach out to me through the message box on the BalmBox.com. So
Awesome. Well,
you're
thank you
welcome.
so much, Liz. This has been awesome.
Thanks for having me.
And to the listeners, thank you so much for being here. I know you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. So please make sure to like it, share it. Someone else needs to know about this. This is the great episode for anyone who's going through this thing, or just to make you think differently about how whatever's going on in your life, maybe there's a silver lining there that you can find. Until next time, everyone, take care.